Before we jump into questions, I want to give each of you a chance to just tell all of us about your business briefly. Now, that's a very dangerous question to ask entrepreneurs because you could go very long. So I want you to just try to be brief and succinct, but tell us, what the name of your business is and what you do, and then we'll jump into the questions we have. So why don't we? So we've got Anthony, Scott, Jeff, Renee, Carla. I've met several of you, but some of you not. So I'm excited to meet a couple of you for the first time. This will be a lot of fun. Let's start, though, by doing intros, and we'll start with you, Anthony. So you want to go for it?
Sure. My name is Anthony Howard. I'm founder, CEO of HR Certified LLC. I've had the business for 5 years this year, but I am young as it relates to being a full-time entrepreneur. I retired from corporate human resources after 20 years.
You're too young. When did you start? When you were 6?
I hear that all the time, and I'll take it. Okay.
That's awesome.
I'll give you my ID. The purpose of my organization is, our vision is to increase diversity in corporate human resources. Because if you were to think about your quintessential HR person, you would probably not envision me. But also responsible or lean in with my business with upskilling and attracting the next generation into this space.
Cool.
We have to show up where they are. So I do that as a member of the Forbes Coaches Council as well. So
awesome.
Yeah, glad to be here.
That is great. Great to have you here, Anthony. Jeff, let's go to you.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Jeff Schultz. I actually run a few different businesses, and I use different Keap accounts for the different businesses. So one is I'm in the financial service industry. I teach people privatized banking and also supplemental retirement. And then on the other side, completely the other end of the spectrum, we do general contracting as well as solar and energy and water efficiencies, and energy generation and storage and things of that nature.
Awesome. That's great. Good to have you, Jeff. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Renee, longtime friend here. We know you, Renee. Tell us about your business.
Hi, Clay. Nice to see you again. I'm Renee Budakian. I'm the co-founder and chief automation expert here at Rapid Marketing Strategies. We are a marketing agency and Keap partner. We help ambitious, established entrepreneurial businesses build their ultimate selling system, aka their marketing machine, that is going to allow them to attract and convert clients who pay, stay, and refer predictably, consistently, and reliably.
Well said. That's great. Thanks, Renee. Appreciate it. And Carla, also a longtime friend. Great to see you, Carla. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Absolutely. I am the founder and CEO of Bossonly, and Bossonly is a firm that helps women entrepreneurs of color take back their time, increase their profit using automation, delegation, and time management tools.
I love it. Fantastic. Okay, well, let's jump into this. This is going to be a ton of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Our purpose here is really to just talk about the state of business for you, to talk about what's happening in the world of small business these days. I know that small business means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but as the 5 of us talk, I think we can put together a perspective of what businesses are experiencing out there, what entrepreneurs are experiencing. And so that's really our purpose here. It's just to engage with you and kind of gather a little bit of market information, but also I think establish some relationships here between each of you, between us and the company Keap with you, that I think will produce a lot of great fruit over time. So, I'm really excited about this conversation because I think there's a lot of noise out there about what the economic conditions mean for small businesses. And I want to just start this by saying I always come from the standpoint and the perspective that entrepreneurs make their reality much more than they sort of inherit what the economic trends are giving them. Small businesses sometimes get caught up in a little bit of the narrative that, well, it's just, whatever's going on out there. And I think that's a dangerous thing to get caught up in. I think the reality is, as entrepreneurs, we can make our reality. We can create the outcomes that we want. And so everything that we talk about here, I want to have that backdrop of, as entrepreneurs, we don't have to be beholden to any particular trend out there, but it is wise for us to acknowledge and be aware of what's going on so that we can play off of those things and work through those things to drive success for our businesses. So with that said, I'd like to just ask the question to each panelist. We've got several questions we're going to go through, and that's why succinctness is greatly appreciated. And let's jump right into it, and we'll go kind of in reverse order of our intros. So I'm going to start with you, Carla. The first question I want to ask you is, what's going well for you right now? What do you see in business that you're excited about, that you're feeling good about, that's going well?
Thank you, Clay. So right now I feel really good about, and what's really going well for me is I'm starting and launching a membership. As you mentioned, with the economy changes, we have to be flexible. And for me, I felt like my audience could really benefit from the leveraging one-to-many aspects of a membership. So I'm excited about that.
Fantastic. That's awesome, Carla. Renee, how about you? What's going well?
What is going so well for us right now is that we are attracting the right type of clients. We have done some deep work in getting clear of who we serve, who we're in the market for. And so we are attracting those clients, and we are also getting big results and transformations for those clients. So as a quick story, we had a client who came to us who was plateaued at their level of business for a number of years. We went in, we knew that we could help them. We did some amazing work for them. In a 12-month period, they doubled their business where they had plateaued for the previous couple of years. So we're really excited about that.
That's awesome, Renee. I can tell you're very clear on who your target customer is, because as you introduced your business, you stated it very, very clearly. So That was awesome. Jeff, how about you? What's going well?
Actually, because of the nature of our business, the economies actually help propel a lot of our aspects of our businesses. People trying to save money, trying to look for better ways. People get concerned about interest rates. What they don't realize on the flip side is if you're not paying an interest rate, you can't earn an interest rate either. So that's actually helped us quite a bit as that's gone up, because banks would now rather get their money someplace other than the Federal Reserve overnight window and pay those high rates. So your CD rates, all these different things go up that actually help you.
Yeah, that's awesome, Jeff. It's a great illustration of the principle that the economy we don't have to be beholden to the economy and whatever those trends are. We can play off of it. We can find opportunities, and any business can do that. Obviously, the listeners might be saying, well, sure, if my business were interest rate driven, I could do that too. But the truth is, in every business, you can find ways to take advantage of what the current economic climate is. And I think, that's a really good example. By the way, when we were sharing that, Jeff, it reminded me of a quote my grandpa used to say all the time. He said, interest, thems that understand it, earn it, and thems that don't pay it. And I think your self-banking principle your self-banking concept is a testament to that quote from my grandpa that I remember. Okay. So thanks for sharing that with us. Let's go to you, Anthony. Tell us what's going well for you right now. And then we're going to go back in reverse order. And so we're going to stay on you for a second question, Anthony.
No pressure. What's going well for me is as a full-time entrepreneur and scaling up is operational efficiency.
Great.
That has been a real game with bringing on numerous contractors. Being able to onboard them very quickly is very important. And then being able to scale out my business as well, right? I started off with just courses, virtual courses, and now I am also moving to providing community to my clients as well. So that has been a major win, and it allows us to give personalization to our clients as well, and making sure we're touching them at different key milestones, and to keep them into our ecosystem. So that has been going very well for me. Yep.
Great. Awesome, Anthony. That's cool. What I hear, in all of the, your answers, I'm hearing a few themes. One theme I'm hearing is a one-to-many that creates greater efficiency and greater community. Another theme I'm hearing is clarity on who you serve, and making sure that you're sounds to me like in some ways the economic changes have pushed some of you to make more tighter refinements on who you serve and getting the right customers so that you are able to operate your business effectively. And then I hear definitely some adjusting and pivoting a little bit on what's happening in the economy, taking advantage of interest rates where that makes sense for you and your business, and finding ways to meet customers where they are and the challenges that they're facing. So good on you for making those adjustments. I think that's one of the biggest things that an economic correction does. That's what I'm an economics major, and economics majors call these corrections. Such a nice term. It's like, as business owners, we're like, you know what? You can take your correction and shove it. It's not very fun to go through these corrections, but they really are. When you take a big step back and you look at it, you recognize that they are healthy. They create a more healthy economy when the economy makes, adjusts and corrects in these ways. And it's up to us to have the mindset and the approach to, okay, how do we go with that? How do we take advantage of that and not get ourselves into a place where we're feeling like the economy is oppressing us? So great thoughts. Now let's say, what challenges do you experience right now? So, Anthony, let's start with you. What's a current challenge that you face, and how are you looking to overcome that?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is that old playbooks are expired. Whatever you are used to doing, our economic situation, COVID, has really shifted the mindset of the consumer. And so those challenges is just making sure that we are, just like you said, with adjusting and adapting to that very same customer, because what they wanted and how they wanted it then is not how they want it now.
Yeah.
So keeping your finger on that pulse has been the challenge, because that pulse, it's different rhythms.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. So let me just press on that for just a second. I hear your point loud and clear, and I want to make sure we get to the other panelists. When you talk about, the challenge of trying to get your finger on the pulse of the economy because the old playbooks don't work anymore, and you got to provide it a new way. Do you have anything that you've come up with that helps you to get your finger on the pulse of your target market and your customers, so that you're adapting, as you called out? I love that word. That is one of my favorite marks of a great entrepreneur, is entrepreneurs adapt. But anything that you've found that's helping you to get your finger on the pulse of your target market so you can adapt and deliver value for them?
Yeah, and this is where one, making sure that the customers that we had, asking them on how we can continuously support them, having focus groups, round tables to be able to understand it as well, and actually going out to the industry where they are and just saying, hey, where are the gaps between what employers and other organizations are making and what they need. So it's that extra effort on stepping up and showing where they are and asking them, and being flexible enough to adapt your business model to that need.
Yeah, perfect. I love that. One of the telltale signs of an economic correction is businesses spend more time with their existing customers, asking questions, doing surveys, finding out what works, where the opportunities are, because we recognize that sometimes when the economy is going well, we neglect a little bit that customer relationship that can turn a client into a raving fan. So I love your points. It can be as simple as asking, spending more face time with them, surveying, asking questions. So great stuff. All right. I'm going to interject here before we get to Jeff, because Scott, you've joined us. I'm glad you've been able to join us. Thanks so much. Give us a quick nutshell of your business, Scott, and then one thing that's going well in your business and one thing that's a challenge for you right now.
Oh, that's an easy one. First off, great seeing you again. I was at Partner Week at the headquarters, and I enjoyed the whole partner day and having that conversation with you. I was very impressed.
So fun. Great to
so
see you again.
thank you. Sure. My name is Scott Duprosky. What I do is I help photographers and creative people organize their business and make it professionalized, which is a big need for a lot of people to help out.
Totally. That's great. What's something that's going well right now?
Yeah, what's going well right now is the ability to actually make 200 phone calls and actually talk to 200 photographers and find out what they really do need instead of making it up as I go.
Yeah.
So it was a great need. I actually found out what they do need is they need a CRM. They need a CRM. They need a landing page. They need an email campaign. They need what I call the newbie stage of the photography accelerator program.
Got it. Okay, great. And what's one challenge you face right now?
The challenges, and I was just talking to one of your Keap coaches, is the challenges of I have no money. But I have no money, but what does that really mean?
Yeah.
Right. And that's the challenge, finding out what that means. Great.
Yeah, sometimes it reminds me of a story one of our early customers told us. He's a dentist, and he was doing an emergency procedure for a customer who had a problem with her tooth, and she was so grateful to him. But she said, I'm just out of money. I can't pay you right now. And he got her in because she was in so much pain. He got the procedure done. And as she was leaving, she said, "Oh gosh, this is going to make my weekend in Vegas so much better." I've always remembered that when customers say they don't have money. I think it's all relative. So, all right, let's go to you, Jeff. Tell us what's a challenge you're facing right now and how are you tackling it?
Actually, probably our biggest challenge is, I think, staffing. I think across the board, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Ever since COVID, people have kind of branched out on their own. They've come out with their own ideas. They want to work for themselves, right, instead of working for the big machine. And that's inherently been a problem. But I think it helps the economy in so many different ways, even though it's not showing in the moment, but it'll get there. So we have actually directed 100% to automation and AI technology. So we are so entrenched in AI, make your head spin. So
interesting. Okay, I want to come back. We'll come back on that one for sure. In terms of staffing, are you finding you're having to pay a lot more in order to attract the talent? Is it, is it a pay issue, or is it you just, even with the pay, you just can't find it?
Yeah, the pay is really irrelevant. It's just finding actual qualified people, and even in the training, and just because of the things that we do are so far on the fringe that this is nothing that's taught to anybody in school, either from the energy side or utility side where we're at, or even from the economic side. And what we do is what banks do every single day, and we try and teach that. The problem is they don't teach this in school because the IRS needs to collect their taxes. Sorry about that. The IRS needs to collect their taxes, and the banks need to collect their interest. And since they're kind of embed together with the Federal Reserve and whatnot, this is not something that's taught, right?
Yeah.
So that makes it a little more difficult to get people to be able to wrap their heads around these.
Yeah,
these
you got to do a lot of teaching to those employees, right? Train them up. Great. Thanks, Jeff. Renee, tell us what's a challenge that you're facing and how are you tackling that?
So for us, the challenge right now, or as I like to try and think of it in my entrepreneurial brain, the opportunity is our lead generation efforts. We know the worst number in business is one, whether it's you're relying on one client or one lead source. And so for us, our lead generation, which was working really well, was a lot of virtual events. What we're seeing now is that there is definitely a shift in the landscape. People are not attending as many virtual events. They're still very effective, but we're needing to overcome that by reinventing ourselves, by diversifying, by looking at focusing on more lead generation sources. So we're actually doing direct mail. We're also continuing to do events. We're also doing some online initiatives. So we can't just rely on one source. And that's how we're thinking about it into this year. And what we're seeing a lot of clients needing to do as well is just reinvent something that was working super well if it's not working well as it once was, then you need to think about what's the shift you need to make. And I think that that's the conversation that keeps coming up here.
That's awesome, Renee. I love that. It's so true. And it stands to reason because, 3 years ago when COVID hit, online events became the way.
Exactly.
I remember when it hit and everybody was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And I remember saying, look, entrepreneurs will adapt. They will find the way. And very quickly the way became online and virtual events. It's just like everybody from a fitness studio to a financial advisor to a marketing consultant was creating virtual events and online ways of working together, which was really good for the digital economy. And I think it did a lot to open up opportunities. But as is true in almost any marketing trend, it starts to become monotone, the same one thing. It begins to lose its effectiveness. And we're probably about at that stage in the cycle with online events. And so it makes sense what you're describing. And I love the thing that you brought up on how to address that, because one thing we try to teach our customers and we talk about a lot is that of course, we talk about follow up all the time, but it's following up in a variety of ways. It's what big business marketers on Madison Avenue have done forever. You create an omni-channel, as they call it, campaign, or multiple types of media to get your message across, and that helps to avoid that the worst number in business, as you described it. Just one way of doing it. Well, for a long time, a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, if they're honest with themselves, they'll say, well, my one is email. I just send emails and more emails. And if you mix it up and you do multiple things, you get much better results. And you can do text, and you can do direct mail, and you can do phone calls, and you can intersperse a lot of different ways of getting your message across. And I think that's what you're describing for yourself and your clients in your lead generation efforts. So great stuff. Thanks for sharing that. Carla, how about you? What's an opportunity? Thank you, Renee, for correcting me. What's an opportunity that you face, and how are you going after it?
The biggest opportunity right now, I would combine almost everything everyone has said, but more to what Renee mentioned. My online events were one of the major, I would say, transaction models that I used. And now they're just not working anymore. And as Anthony mentioned, now I have to go and figure out where my people are and how can I get in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so to overcome that opportunity, or to take advantage of the fact that there are still pockets online where there are a lot of interactions. So I am going to where the clients already are and partnering and leveraging relationships to then get in front of my target audience.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And one thing to keep in mind when you're doing lead gen efforts and the math breaks down on the way you've been doing it, sometimes that medium needs to change, but sometimes it's a matter of the message or the method that you're getting it out, the follow-up that you're doing to drive people. We see over and over that when you have multiple follow-ups to drive people, you're going to get much better results than if you put the communication out once or twice like you normally do, and then the numbers end up not working out. So there may be something in repetition and variety of your message that could also render your online events profitable, or make the math work, so to speak, that before you throw out that method altogether. So I'm going to throw this one up for anybody. As you take a step back and look at the economy, in particular, the interest rates, the inflation, what do you see that has you sort of going after an opportunity, or what do you see that has you concerned? You're like, hey, I'm worried about this. So let's just talk about the economy for just a second. I know it's kind of been interlaced in all that we've discussed here, but I want to specifically give you a chance to comment on what you see in the economy, both from an opportunity or a challenge standpoint, as well as something that you're really excited about.
Clayton, I'll jump in.
Great.
One of the things I see with the changes in the economy, specifically, like you mentioned, the interest rates, are that people are more concerned with their spending.
Mhm.
And then that trickles over, like as you mentioned, to small businesses because many of them feel that, okay, I need to tighten the purse strings a bit. And so as a B2B business, I am getting those kind of responses. We're not spending right now. We're slowing down where I
Mhm.
would get an easy yes just 6 months, a year ago. And
Right.
so that is definitely a concern of mine, but it's exciting as well because that forced me to look at other business models, like as I mentioned, the membership model, where the cost of entry is so much lower, and focusing on the business owner as well as their business. And so flipping my messaging um, to focus on not only the business and making more money in their business with automation. Now I'm talking about getting more time freedom and being able to leverage automation for those things. So a couple things I'm really excited about testing out.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Carla. I definitely hear and see that same thing. And it just, it makes the sport of marketing a little bit more of a contact sport. We got to be a little more on our game. And I think I hear you doing that as you're describing the way you're refining your offers, your offerings, the way that you're going after the right kind of customer. So I think that's great. Scott, let's go to you, and then we'll go to you, Anthony. I think you're on mute, Scott.
I apologize. First day I've been using Zoom, so I apologize.
I get it. I understand.
What I do see as the news talks about the economy coming down and everybody's tightened that belt, right? I believe this is a perfect storm for people like myself who are coaches, people that are looking to help somebody else, because this is the time they actually need it. When business was flying high, believe it or not, in the middle of COVID, money was flying. Money was flying around. So if business is going crazy, why do you hire a coach to strategize to get more business? Versus right now, this is where they need to focus. And the good coaches and the good people that can really help somebody have the upper hand because the new reset switch has been hit.
Yeah.
The reset switch was hit before COVID, where it was an even playing field, right? Everybody could get to the $1 million status or build a business quickly, and it happens. But now it's about, okay, you made it, but can you keep it?
Yep. That's great. Good point, Scott. Thanks for sharing that. Anthony, how about you? What do you see?
Yeah, my view is more for B2C. And my audience are human resource professionals. So they have kind of like their finger on the pulse of what's going on. So for them, it is not only because the businesses are cutting the purse as it relates to professional development opportunities, but also these same individuals are just like, if something were to happen to me, I need money, right? So for me, it was very, very similar to what Scott was saying, was like, hey, if something were to happen, wouldn't you want to be a part of these solutions, this service to help bridge that? And then also thinking about making it more accessible through payment plans, through a lower cost points, like different ways in order for them to still feel secure that it's no longer, it's not a cost, it's an investment with where you need to go, because regardless, you have a trajectory, you have some place you want to go regardless of what's happening in the moment. So I think it's more of that, of the uncertainty of the consumer, especially one that is very close to what's going on, what business decisions are happening, right? So that has been my experience.
Great stuff. Thanks, Anthony. And I appreciate your points about, you're having to adjust your messaging a little bit. You're needing to adjust the investment that it takes to get in, payment plans, that sort of thing. Just making it more palatable. But I think both you and Scott are calling out the opportunity to position your company and your service as a solution to the problem that your prospects are facing because of the economic changes. And I think that's a key thing. And one of the underlying reasons why I believe that will be effective is that in any message that you're trying to get out to your market, it's got to be about the problem they're facing, not about the solution that you have. They actually don't care about your solution. They care about their problem. Right?
Yeah.
So I love that you're framing it that way. That's awesome. All right, Renee, how about you?
I'd love to echo some of, and then add a little bit more light from my view. I think that the current economic situation and what it means for our businesses and businesses of our clients, the ever rising costs and expenses. I think what we've all discussed is that the realization that clients are being more mindful. We also need to be more mindful and strategic with how we invest our resources. And that's not just money resources, that's time resources as well. Because as entrepreneurs, we have that shiny object syndrome, and we need to resist that very much so. But I think the flip to that and the opportunity in the economy as well is for those businesses who are making sure that they're crystal clear of who it is that they serve, what differentiates them, what's their unique selling proposition, and also how are they going to predictably convert those strangers into clients and raving fans. For those who have that clarity, you have a big opportunity to make marketing and the services that you offer a essential expense, because you really highlight the cost of inaction for the client. It's not just about the cost, it's also the value. And in any economy, businesses are going to invest when you can demonstrate the cost versus the value exchange. And also, what's the cost of taking no action at all and remaining in the same spot in 12 months?
Yeah. Love it. Great stuff. I hear all of you sharing, points about sharpening your marketing, getting more clear on the value proposition for your customer. I hear the way that you are repositioning the message in a way that resonates with the current problems that your customers are facing. And that's the key thing, to make sure that you're resonant at a time where, as Scott said, when the economy's booming, it's kind of, it's a lot easier for all the tide that lifts all boats, everybody's kind of rising with it. But when the economy gets a little tougher, we've got to get sharper in our marketing. And then the other thing, big major trend I'm hearing you say, is getting more efficient with what you do. Using automation. Interestingly, those 2 points converge for Keap. Our message when things are going really well is a grow message. And when things are a little bit more challenging in the economy, then it's about automation and doing more with less and saving time and efficiency. That's in a nutshell, that's the shift that you see our copy make and our messaging make when we are going through ups and downs of markets. And I share it just so that, the audience can hear maybe an example of what it looks like for them and how they can apply the principles that you're sharing to their business, their messaging, their value proposition, their marketing that they're doing to attract the right prospects and customers. Okay, let's go to, actually, let me ask you one quick follow-up question. This one can be super fast. I'm just curious. Use your little hand raise function of Zoom that we all love so much to tell us, or to indicate if you have raised your prices in the last 18 months to 2 years. Looked like 4 of the 5. I think, Jeff, I saw you sort of raise your hand.
I'm on a split screen, so I lost the hand raising thing.
Got
it. Shrunk it down. But no, I don't. My stuff is not predicated on pricing. So
okay, so 3 of the 5 have raised prices during that period of time.
But
okay,
I will
great.
say, even though I didn't raise prices on my core aspect, I also diversified and was able to expand to offer something at a higher price point for a unique need, which
great.
was live on site.
Great.
On site. That's different than virtual, right?
Yeah.
Charge more for that.
No, I love that. I mean, raising price, what you're calling out is a premium offering, right? And that's a form of raising prices. It's not the specific you know, the same
Oh.
thing, but it's creating a higher value
Okay,
for your business.
there we go.
Yeah, go for it.
That's
Hey, there's your hand. I got it.
right.
Love it, Anthony. All right. Good stuff. So let's go to technology. I'm going to start with you, Jeff, because you said that you're all about AI right now. The question I have for everybody to be thinking about is, what are your thoughts on AI and how it'll impact your business? And are you currently investing in technology more generally? It doesn't necessarily have to be AI. So let's start with you, Jeff, because you mentioned AI at the outset.
Yeah, we have fully embraced AI on our side, right? Because there's a couple things about AI technology. One, they don't take days off, they don't have bad days, and they don't have to be in front of one person at a time, right? They can be in a million different homes all simultaneously. Right? So there's a complete automation. It starts with Keap with the automation system, and then we use.
Hey, I love hearing that. That's great.
Yeah, right. So we start there, and then we use a product that allows us to do AI creation and presentations, and I can do it in 65 different languages, and send this stuff out worldwide. And then we use another product for embedding links into images, which we typically will embed a Keap link in, which will take them to a landing page as soon as they click on the image. And then we also use something that's a couple things that are unique. One is that we use a trainable AI. So unlike ChatGPT or Jasper, where like if you ask a question about pie, right, you might get an answer back about a cherry pie, or you might get a mathematical number. With a trainable AI, it only understands the content that you put into it. Mm-hmm. So it's only going to respond in that manner, right? So we use that, and then we take it a step further. We've moved away from any A/B testing, because typically, if it doesn't go right, then you've lost the potential of gaining that client. So we've actually added in an AI predictability aspect to it as well. So we can run it through a predictor first, and it will tell us what the general outcome of any ad campaigns or anything like that are going to be. So now we're not wasting time going, well, did A work or did B work? We already know, and we tweak it before it ever reaches to the general public.
That's cool. That's awesome. Good stuff. Thanks for sharing, Jeff. Who else want to share what they're doing? Great. Let's go for it, Scott.
Remember the mute key this time. On a very basic level, I was able to, what I find is creative people never get anything done. They're very visionary, and they need to find the who's, and otherwise it doesn't get done.
And your target audience is that.
Absolutely. I've been one of them. I've learned to focus a lot more. But they're not going to follow through being a key partner. They're not going to create the landing page. They're not going to create the, that content for a lead gen. So we're able to use ChatGPT and actually write an ebook for them in less than an hour, and use Canva to create the cover of this amazing book that they wrote as a great, unique offer for their landing page. Very quickly.
That's
so that's
awesome.
how we use
it.
That's how we use it.
You're using AI to create a lead magnet for your client that they can use to attract leads with this ebook that was created with you and ChatGPT. Great. There's a lot of content generation happening in the marketing world with ChatGPT. As I think most of you know, we took the technology that's behind ChatGPT, which was created by OpenAI. OpenAI made it available through an API, and so that's built into our product now, and our customers can create content. And to me, it's really fun because this is one of the things that's held back customers for a long time, is having to sit down in front of a blank cursor and type out, a Word doc, an email that is, going to be the content they're sending their customers. So to get a boost on content creation from AI, I think is a really fun development in our world. Let's go to Carla, Renee, and then we'll go back to you, Jeff. Carla?
Yes, Clay, I've been using AI, much like Scott mentioned. I use it to create these quick little mini courses. I feed it kind of all of the information that I need, and then it creates these quick little mini courses, which have been really good for the membership level that I'm offering. And so a lot of people, they get, like he mentioned, they don't want to create the content, but ChatGPT takes it and I can create a mini course in, like he said, less than an hour. So that's one of the ways we've been leveraging it in Bossingly.
That's cool. And one thing I've noticed with our partners who do help their customers with marketing automation is that what I've heard several of them say, and this was just a couple weeks ago at Partner Day, I heard them say they thought that their customers would use ChatGPT to create content, but their customers didn't actually want to do it. They're fine to, even if the customer knew they were using AI to help do it, they were fine to have somebody else do that for them because content creation is just such a hurdle. So I'm glad to hear both Scott and Carla, you're doing that. I've seen that trend with many of our other partners. And, I think that's something that is certainly an application of AI today that's possible that really wasn't a few years ago. And just in the last year has taken off. Renee, you were going to say something as well, and then we'll go back to you, Jeff.
So Clay, you asked two questions. Do you invest in technology? And what are our thoughts on AI? So I'll break it down into two parts. So
Great.
Definitely, we 100% invest in technology to make our business more efficient. We invest in systems and technology so we can create more leverage for the people in the business.
Yeah.
And we invest in different softwares like our project management software, our CRM and marketing automation software, which happens to be Keap. We invest
what a coincidence.
Look at that. We invest in video conferencing software, accounting software, like our workspace software, which is like our everything, and AI is one of the newest technologies that we've started to invest in, like ChatGPT Plus and Midjourney to creating actual imagery. My thoughts on AI is I think that it's something that is really exciting that a lot of businesses now have access to. Like you mentioned, it built into Keap, months before it was available really, to the everyday person.
Right.
You leveraged it and you created something very powerful for Keap customers. But I think what's really exciting is the level of access. I think it's hard to conceptualize the impact of AI today because it's evolving so rapidly. And I think it's probably akin to the introduction of the internet in the early 90s. And I think that those who are jumping on and trying to figure out how to leverage it are going to be ahead naturally. I think it's not about AI replacing people, but I think it's about people who use AI can have the potential to replace people who don't. And I think that one of the key things you talked about is that AI is allowing us to go from ideation to content, like to get the ideas out there and move from ideation to execution quicker because the success is in the doing and starting with a blank page.
You can go from 0 to 80% complete really fast.
Exactly. And I think that that's the key that every business has the opportunity to really jump on as AI continues to evolve.
Yeah. So I got to tell you something. I'll interject this real quickly. I'm in the process of rewriting, doing a revised edition of Conquer the Chaos. And last week I was holed up in a hotel room, just cranking stuff out. And I, about halfway through the week, I thought, I'm going to go give ChatGPT a spin on this and see some of the things it creates. And I was a little irritated because it was so good. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. But what I ended up doing is I used a little bit here and there, and it just made what I was doing better. And I think that you said that really well. It's not about AI replacing people. It's about people who use AI replacing people who don't use AI. I think that's a good way to say it. And in other words, it just makes us a little smarter. It makes us a little more effective and definitely makes us more efficient. That's something that I've been excited about. Let's go back to you, Jeff.
I just wanted to tag on to the end of the last question there that, that's one thing about using a content creator or a trainable AI that we've found, because now we can pump out between 500 and 2,000 pieces of content a month automatically, right? That's huge because, the average business, if you're a small business owner, you're sitting there and if you get 12 to 15 pieces out in a month, you've normally done pretty good. And it's that whole thought process, regardless of whether you're using an AI or not. You're like, okay, what do we want to write about today? Let me put it in there and get it there. But you have to think about it. Where now with these trainable AIs at the next level, it automatically knows. It's like, well, we haven't talked about this because it's already run through all the algorithms, right? So let's figure it out. We haven't talked about this today. And then the next day, oh, we haven't talked about that yet. Right. And then it creates all these different things. To get 500 to 2,000 pieces of content out in any 30-day period is huge. I mean, you figure
Yeah.
there's 172 hours in an average work month, right? Like you would have to be pumping out 3 an hour to get
Right.
to 500. Right?
Amazing.
Like, so it's just crazy how far you can actually take it.
Well, you as a panel are definitely on the
sorry.
cutting edge of technology. Anthony, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Look, everybody on chat chimed in on this, and I was listening and everything, and I agree with everybody. There's two things I just want to add to it.
Yeah.
The first one is, at least in my industry, a lot of HR people are behind on this.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up as a tech guru. I'm a video game I'm all into it, right? I
Yeah.
started off as an analyst, and I guess what I'm wanting to say here is we can use this to be to serve as thought leaders to our customers.
Yes.
They will have if I'm able to not only give them content, but to say, hey, AI is your friend. You need to lean in. Right? Don't have it bypass you, because if it does, you'll get left behind.
Right.
Look at what happened back in the .com days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's number one, is that change this to be a value to your customers. And then the second thing is be aware of not losing the personalization.
Yes.
Right? That your voice still needs to resonate in this AI stuff, right? And
Yep.
I believe that at least in my customer world, they know if it's me or if it's the AI bot that I'm sending out there. So
Yeah.
those are two things.
I love it. And both of them really center around personalization. The first piece is like, don't let it intimidate you. Have it's this technology that you got to be afraid of. And why is it intimidating? Because it's not personal. It doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel real. And that's your second point. What I experienced last week as I was writing, I did more writing last week than I've probably done in 2 years combined. It was just a really intense writing week, and it was awesome. And that's why I kind of got in and started playing with ChatGPT a little bit. But what I realized was the resonance of writing is personal. And the trick is you can get a lot of the grist, a lot of the content, but to make it a meal, you have to put stories and personalization and the stuff that actually connects with people in order to have it be something that people really desire. And so, and that's not to diminish at all what ChatGPT and AI technologies are for writing. I think it's amazing. But that was the thing I noticed. I noticed that, well, it gives you some stuff, but you got to, the storytelling and the personalization and the experiences that need to come through are what I believe make it really resonant with the audience. And so I think that there's a place for probably a lot of content, like the quantity of content, but I think it's also important that the quality is very personal. And like I said, you can get a bunch of it done quickly, but then you got to refine it to make sure that it has that personalization effect that you're calling out, Anthony. Great stuff. Well, you all are definitely on the early adopter side of the technology adoption life cycle. What would you say, maybe just like tweet style? So I'm going to put you on the spot here and ask for like a tweet style response. What would you say to a business owner out there that's maybe not on the early adopter and they're not investing in technology as much as you all are? What would you say to them? Let's start with you, Carla.
Clay, I would say to a business owner who's not leveraging technology, AI, and those things is that one of the things I talk about in this shift is burnout, because I've seen that be a big problem for business owners post-COVID. And so I would tell them that we leverage these technologies and tools so that we can create the balance, the work-life balance that we need as business owners. And if you're not leveraging these tools, you're missing out on the things that you want to do. Spend time with your family, have time for self-care, grow as a business owner in personal development areas. So I talk about what they're going to be missing when they're not leveraging tools like Keap and AI tools like ChatGPT.
I love it. That's awesome, Carla. Renee, what would you say?
to count the characters to see if I was going to give you a proper tweet. I would say I would say the best time to start using technology was 10 years ago. Second best time is right now.
Love it. Fantastic. Anthony, what would you say?
I would say to a business owner as it relates to leveraging technology is don't go the way of Montgomery Ward. Lean in. I don't know if you've ever heard of Montgomery Ward, right? Am I dating myself?
I do know. I know.
Okay. All right. Just
You're
making
proving
sure.
that you did work 27 years before you.
Yep.
That's right. Montgomery
No
Ward. Some
driver's
of us
license
remember
required.
that. Yes.
Okay. good.
Renee's wondering, what the heck are you talking about? All right, great. But the point is innovate so that you don't get passed by, right? That's the
That's
point.
right.
And Scott, what would you say?
Yeah, if you got a business owner that doesn't want to lean into technology, maybe they're nervous, maybe they're afraid of it. It's not how, but find a who.
Great. Find a who. Love it.
Yeah.
Jeff, how about you?
Actually, I just replaced one word. So when I normally talk to people about things, I said, what if you knew, or what you knew about money wasn't true? When would you want to know? Right. So if what you knew about marketing wasn't true, when would you want to know?
Mm-hmm. Great. Good stuff. All right. I love it. Great answers to those questions around technology and AI. Let's wrap it up. So last question I'd love to just hear about is your goals. What's your number one goal for the next 12 months? While you're thinking on that, the reason I'm asking this question is one of the things that's occurred that I've realized, when we work with entrepreneurs, it is very clear those that have crisp goals that they're working on are the ones who are making great progress and are feeling energized and excited about what they're doing. And it's really amazing how the grind of business can sometimes cause us to lose sight of our goals. You have big dreams and ambitions, and then you have goals that are hopefully connected to those, and then actions that you take every day. And yet sometimes the actions just become a routine that's over and over and over, and you lose sight of the goals and even of the bigger picture dreams and ambitions you have. So I like to hear what your goals are, as clearly as you can state in the next 12 months, what's your number one goal? I'd love to hear it. And then, maybe what we'll wrap up with one final question after that, but let's start there. So, Anthony, why don't you tell me tell the panel here, what's your number one goal in the next 12 months?
Well, as a new entrepreneur, I am looking forward to, in 12 months, to be working on the business, is not in the business.
Great.
That's my goal.
Number one goal in 12 months as a new entrepreneur, working on the business, not in the business.
That's
okay.
Right.
Awesome. Scott, how about you? What's your number one goal for the next 12 months?
Yeah, I just did a video time lapse, a video capsule, as I call it, when I was at headquarters at Keap. And EJ asked me that question. I said, here's a question. 1 year from today, I'm going to be back here on the stage, and we're going to talk about the 100 apps that people are using because of what we're doing.
So, I love it.
100
Fantastic.
Apps.
Love hearing that, Scott. I love that because your goal serves our goal too. So that's great.
Yeah.
I love it. Thanks for being a partner on it. Jeff, how about you? What's your number one goal?
Number one goal over the next 20 months is just really having our processes completely refined, especially again with trying to integrate as much as we are with the different AI products and stuff. I mean, even like I was talking about the trainable AI, like we have to feed it all the content, right? Yeah. So there's a bunch that has to go in there. So it's really just getting everything honed in for those purposes. So that way, we don't have water leaking out of the bucket.
Okay, great. Refining your processes. Carla, how about you?
My number one goal for the next 12 months is to become the go-to person in this space when it comes to avoiding burnout and creating balance using technology. And so that means I would love to have about 200 members in the membership.
Awesome. Okay, so you're working on getting a membership goal that serves that bigger goal of becoming the go-to source in your space of avoiding burnout for, when you said your space, I think you're saying women entrepreneur of color. Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I love it. By the way, the writing that I'm doing right now is really, I'm taking all the stuff we've taught over the years and I'm just sharing it and giving it out. And part of this is the book. And, but go check out claytmask.com, because if you're interested in balance and creating, wins in your business and in your personal life, that's what I'm writing all about there. So I think you'll find that useful. Renee, how about you? What's your number one goal?
My number one goal for our marketing agency in the next 12 months is to double the size of 100 small entrepreneurial businesses. We want to collapse the time it takes for those businesses to get their life-changing growth that they're looking for, and collapse what may take them decades into days. And so we're well on our way, but I truly believe that every business can get there. Some take a little longer, some get there quicker, as long as they don't give up. But we really want to help 100 businesses double their growth in 12 months.
I love it. Fantastic. I love the specificity of it. When we teach goals here, we talk a lot about SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, not realistic. Achievable is that. Relevant goals, and then time bound, SMART. And those SMART goals, when you get them crisp and clear, the likelihood of achieving them goes up dramatically, as you know. And so using that SMART acronym is really effective. And I love your goal is very smart. It's very relevant to your bigger picture. I can see what you're up to there, and love what you're doing. That's awesome. Okay. The last question is just kind of an open-ended or an open opportunity to share something that, is there something we've talked about here that maybe you didn't get a chance to bring up within this context of how do small businesses adapt to this changing economy? Maybe it's something that you are reaching for and you're kind of wanting to find out there. Maybe it's a tool or a resource. Maybe it's a learning that you've had. But just wanted to put that question out there as we wrap it up. One final opportunity for each of you to share something. Who wants to go first? All right, Scott, go for it.
Yuki. I may not position this correctly as you worded it as a question, but I think what's happening is information is shared so easily. At one time, we'd say, hey, let's Google it. Well, we can't Google it because it's all filled with the biggest check writers for the ads. So we really don't know if the information is actually true because it depends upon who wrote the biggest check. Mm-hmm. So now we have Chat GPT where we can say, hey, why don't we Chat GPT this? And therefore, we're actually getting a better result of information, of it's true or not, that's up in the air. But then you have the internet, you have Google, you have all these people just saying information, but who's the content creator? Who makes it real, right? Writing your book, doing your research, I'm sure, right? And back in that research, which I'm sure you are, but most people aren't. So mm-hmm. is trying to be educated individual, but being educated on the correct information is kind of like this. That's where we're at right now. Information is overloaded, but what's actually true? So
yeah, I love that question. Who makes it real? The business owner makes it real, right? That's what small business is. It's personal. That's why people like working with small business. But if you think about this, everything we've talked about here today, what's really happening is it's harder for people to see what's real. It's harder for people to have a true relationship. It's hard because the ubiquity of information, ubiquitous information that's out there, just so much. It's calling for entrepreneurs and business owners to make it real for their clients, to create a relationship, to have something that is meaningful to them, which has really always been the draw of small business. It's personal. So I love that. I love that you call that out. And I'd say, it's the business owner's job to make it real.
Yeah.
Awesome. Who else has something they want to share?
Thank you.
I'll go.
Go for it, Anthony.
I think one thing that I would say is, as a small business owner, and there's a lot of small business owners that you're not by yourself.
Yeah.
That as you're going through this journey, there will be mountains and valleys through all of this. And just to know that there's a community of other people that are going through the exact same thing that you're going through, and to tap into that in order to build your resiliency to make it to that next mountain, right? At the top of that.
Yes.
I would just say that, especially during this time of like this uncertainty with the economy and, shifting priorities, that you're not alone.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks so much. That's one of the things that we see all the time is entrepreneurship is lonely. And we want Keap to stand for very clearly that community. We call it the Keap family, right? It's entrepreneurs working together to help each other grow and achieve their goals. And thanks for calling that out, because it does feel lonely at times. We all know that. Carla, go for it. What did you want to share? Your final thoughts?
My final thoughts, Clayton, on the subject. We talked a lot about using tools and technology in the changing economy, but I want to kind of hone in kind of on what was just mentioned, cultivating the entrepreneurial mindset so that you can rise above the shifts and the changes, and having the open-minded attitude that I'm going to pivot and adjust, as we mentioned earlier, to these changes, because they're not going to stop, right?
Right.
They're not going to stop. And so when you accept that fact that they're not going to stop, and that you're going to pivot and make the adjustments, I think that's half the battle. And then finding the solution is the easy part. That mindset shift is the hardest part. And I just want to encourage entrepreneurs to develop a entrepreneurial mindset.
Oh, I love it, Carla. You and I speak the same language for sure. The strongest species in nature is the coyote. And its number one characteristic is adaptability. It can adapt to any climate. It can adapt to any diet. It can adapt. And so you can't take out the coyote. And it's the trait of entrepreneurs that I love, that adaptability and that mindset to don't be taken out, don't be taken down by the things that are around us, but to rise above it. It's awesome. Renee, how about you? Any final thought you want to share with us?
I was gonna say, I think that what's really interesting and what I've seen in the business, at least in the last 12 months, is that as a result of the shifts that happened over the last couple of years, and particularly what's going on in the economy, there's a lot of access to some amazing talent out there. We've recently expanded upon our team, and what we've found is that not necessarily always bringing on a team member who's directly like a marketer, but finding someone who has some parallel synergies. Maybe they're in education, or maybe they have a computer sciences background. But I think the what is the changes that have happened has allowed us more access to talent, and removed a lot of geographic boundaries or restrictions. And so for us, it's been an incredible time to bring on new team members and expand our team with some incredible talent that I think previously we wouldn't have had access to or been able to necessarily bring upon our team.
Fantastic. Great. And especially with the way we can work virtually now, you can gain access to talent all over the world, which is really cool. Let's see, Jeff, any final thoughts you have for us?
No, I mean, like I said, I think the biggest challenge for us is just educating the customer, right? Yeah. It's like kind of, going back to the last statement that I made, the tweet statement, right? It's like, yeah, there are other ways, right? And same thing from this marketing standpoint, right? Like the whole Keap, the automations with the plays, things like that, that all comes into effect where it's like there are better, more efficient ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And it's embracing those openly and using them.
Love it. Yeah, you've got your world is definitely a world of training, because you're going up against interest rates and banking, which are the Fed interest rates and banking, which take a lot of undoing of the way people think about it. So I can appreciate it, and I can appreciate how automating follow up and getting those messages out definitely helps you to do that. Well, listen, you all have been fantastic. This has been so much fun. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. I have such respect for you as entrepreneurs and what you do. And I if we could kind of package up your message to small businesses, that's about adapting and about finding the ways to adjust to economic changes and to refine your marketing and to use technology and be efficient. I mean, you are doing great things as early adopters. And I know that in every one of your businesses, you've got your challenges and your messes, just like every other business out there. That's part of the beauty of it. We don't have to be perfect. We're just working at it and trying to serve our customers and get better and better. So thank you for sharing your experience, your perspective, your wisdom. I especially loved the things you're doing around technology and AI. I thought that was awesome. And I wish there was some way we could take your collective message and just like channel it into every business owner out there and help them to adapt and change and make the economic situation an opportunity, not a challenge that pushes them down. So thank you for what you do. You totally embody the words that we share all the time, which is to keep going, keep serving, and keep growing. Thank you. Thanks for being a part of this, everybody.